Welcome back to Primary Teaching with Dom. This video is about your NQT teaching position. So how to be successful on your NQT interview. I have my notes in my phone here to help me. So let's go. Now I'm going to get into the nooks and crannies of the information I want to give. So this bit is about, I'll start with the interview first actually. So your interview that you get tends to be on the exact same day you will do your observed lesson. So the point number one is to know the school. So knowing the school in terms of know the name, how many children there's going to be, what's the vision for the school? Do they have a motto? Do they have like grow, learn, succeed kind of thing? What do they have in place that you should know? What about the EEL children? Because that works in your favor for the interview. When you say, I did this lesson because I knew there was this amount of EEL children here, or I knew there this amount of SEN, so I differentiated my lesson for that time. Knowing the school in terms of location, are you able to get there on time, or do you need to take a train, or what happens if the train doesn't work? You know, those different things. Know the school in terms of that. Know what the children are learning, because I know some schools have what the children are learning on their on their website. It's just a general interest in the school, which would be absolutely great for the interview. The next point I said is be ready for the behavior for learning and safeguarding questions. Now that is so important. Always, okay, what school you're at. I remember having a mock interview at my university and having my actual interview. They always ask about behavior for learning, and they always ask you about safeguarding. What would you do in a safeguarding issue? You will go to DSL, which is a designated safeguarding lead. You will always do so. You will always listen to the child. You will not preempt anything. You won't say, well, did your dad do that, or did your mum do that? You will just listen. You will make sure to say that I can't promise to keep anything. I will have to take it on. If you do wish to tell me things, I will have to make sure I give it on to the DSL. You have to make sure everything is done correctly, as in there's no bias in what you're saying. All the different things you need to know about safeguarding. So if the school has a safeguarding policy on their website, it's imperative that you read it. Although they tend to be the same for every school, but they might have something else, and they're actually asking you the questions to see if you know. Behavior for learning, always look that up. They're always going to ask you, what behavior for learning strategies do you use, or would you use in this situation, or what would you use in general? Don't get tripped on those questions. Those are the two very important questions, because they always ask you. They always will, because it's quite important in school life in general. So make sure you always look those up. My next point is to take your time with the questions. If you're not sure, ask them to repeat. In my interview, I did ask them to repeat the question, because there's sometimes you're thinking in your head, you think, oh, am I going to ask this question? I'm going to ask this question. And you kind of forget about the ending of the question. So sit calm, sit relaxed, poised. Sit, relax, and ask them, can you repeat that question, please? And then take time to register that question in your head. Don't rush answering the question. So one of the main things on my interview that I took in consideration is that I can talk very fast and do this all the time and keep going. However, I had to really slow it down, pause. When they finish the question, they don't really need you to answer straight away. Take a pause. And when I mean a pause, I don't mean a 20-second pause where you're just sitting there like, because that takes forever. I would say take a pause for 2-3 seconds, think about the question, and then answer. Because sometimes you answer the question better when you thought about it for a little bit, rather than going off your first instinct because you want to get the question out. So just take your time with it. They are not scoring you on your efficiency to answer the question the fastest. They're scoring you on the on what you say. How is it? How do you say it? What are you actually saying? So take into consideration that. My last point for the actual interview is to be you. Show them that you're the best person for that job and that there's no one else in the world who can take that position from you. Show them that you're the best. When they ask you about your different hobbies and all that, tell them the different things you do. I did taekwondo, I did this, I'm involved in this. Although it may not be child related, still tell them that you've bungee jumped off the Great Alps or whatever you've done. That's amazing. They get interested in that. They're like, wow, how was that? Make sure you tell them about the great things you've done. Even if you haven't done great things, tell them the things that you want to aspire to do. I really want to do this because I saw this, or I really want to skydive, or whatever you want to do. Is skydiving even a word? Is it ski diving? Anyway, tell them the things that you want to do. It's really good. They mark you very well on those kind of things. So just make sure to be you. I want to talk about your actual lesson observation, that thing that you need to do right. My first point for the lesson observation is be prepared. Email your head teacher or the deputy, whoever's interviewing you, who's ever sent you the first email confirming you for an interview. Make sure you send them in an email thanking them, one. And if they haven't sent you a document that tells you what you are planning or what you're meant to do, email them and ask them. Ask them how many EYE children are in that class specifically. Ask them how many SEN children there are. What kind of groups are there going to be? Is there a blue group, a red group, which is the highers? Then there's a lowers. Is there the middle children ability? Do they have table names? That's quite important. So although you may not know the children, it's important that you know the group. So that means you could say tiger table or, blue pentagon table. You are going to do this and this is what you're going to be doing. So that means you're differentiating, and on your plan that you give to the adults when you go into the class, saying here you go into the TA, and that's about being prepared, talking to the TA before and letting them know what they're doing. When you have the lesson plan, you can say, well, they know that blue pentagons is a high group, so can you work with this group, making sure you're scaffolding and pushing them along further, and I will work with the green cubes at the bottom, the lower group children, and I'll work with them pictorial, whatever you're doing. So make sure you have those all in place. Don't ever assume on the day they're going to tell you, because yeah. My second point, in terms of the actual lesson observations, to be you. Don't be afraid to crack a joke. Don't be afraid to smile. Don't be afraid to be you. Just because they're not your class, they could be. If you get the job, they could be your class next year. So you just never know what might happen. Just be you, and like you are on your training course of the children that you do know, assume that they are your class forever. Assume that you've known them for the past 2 months or the past 8 months, wherever it is you're on your interview. Make sure you just be you. Laugh. Don't be afraid to discipline some children for behavior, because you can't assume that the teacher will be there, the TA will do it. You're the actual teacher for that time. So if a child is misbehaving, use your behavior strategies to get that child back to behaving correctly. Smile, laugh, joke. Do you be a bit animated? Just be you. Don't be scared. Although there might be 2 or 3 of people observing you, just pretend that you know them. That's how I deal with it. Or pretend as though, not pretend, because you do observations anyway in your PGC or your teacher training. So just pretend it's like another one. My third point, which kind of leaks into that second point per se, is to don't be nervous. The worst thing you can do is get to the front and show your nervousness. Now, everyone's going to be nervous. Trust me, I was nervous. I was like, oh my God. I was like, But when I got there, I was like, yes, I'm the teacher. This is me. Everyone's sitting nicely. Oh, who can I see doing nice behavior? Now, I will say, if they do have a behavior reward system, and I just thought about that, make sure you know what it is. You can say, oh, Dylan over there, oh, look at that great behavior. I'm going to give you a dojo point. I'm going to give you a token for sitting nicely. Who else can I see? Use those strategies. Ask those questions. Don't be nervous. Be nervous inside, but when you're teaching, the outside persona is like, you're meant to be here. This is what you're meant to do. So take that into consideration, because if you get nervous, it can be seen by everyone. They know you're nervous. They know you are. but they don't want to see that you're nervous because they need to know that you can take that position. Treat the class like they're your own. Treat them as though you've known them for that long period of time. You know, don't be the interviewee who doesn't have a connection with the children. Build that connection. You can build a connection with a child within 10 seconds. You laughing, creating a little joke, instant connection. You smiling, standing there, introducing yourself as, I'm the teacher, instant connection with some children. Rewards, instant connection. Those kind of things. Treat the TA like they're your actual teaching assistant, that they've been there for that time. Treat the classroom like it's your own. Don't be afraid to step up to the mark, because that's what they want to see. They want to see if you can do that. And I feel that I did that in my interview, hence why I got the job. I tried my best. That's all I can say. Just try your best at the end of the day. If you don't get the job, there's so many different jobs out there. You will not get a job. You will get one. I got mine on my first one. That's lucky. Don't worry, I have no friends that have failed 5 interviews but got their 6th one and they've never given up. Don't ever give up. Just keep going, keep persisting, and you will get a job. I just forgot, and I'm gonna remember now, is remember that you need to have a good lesson plan. So make sure you have a good lesson plan that has what you want to achieve, what you're doing, each step, so timing wise as well. And please do make sure that you differentiate exactly what you want the children to achieve. So if the lower children, so don't expect the SEN lower children to be exactly the same as the highers. The highers have to be pushed along further than the middles per se, and the middles have to be pushed further than the lowers. So make sure you differentiate. Even if the SEN lower children get pictorial representations, and the other children, the middles, will get a pictorial, but they have to add a couple of words, and the highers will have to have pictures and put it into a sentence with an adjective, depending on what year you're in. So just make sure you do all of that. Hopefully that helped. Hopefully that helped. And yes, if there's anything you want to ask us, leave it on the comments section below. Thank you for watching and subscribing and commenting. I'm getting there. I have been ill, but I'm back now with revengeance. Is it revenge or vengeance? Clearly you can tell that I'm tired. But yeah, please do watch. Come on. The bear wants you to watch the video. Then this one, come on. And thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.